So this means either of those two wide receivers, Devontae Parker and Brashad Perriman, Kevin Johnson, the cornerback from Wake Forest. John, is there a wild card that we're not considering here that the Dolphins may be high on that has great Dolphins value that we don't know about?
Well, it could be some at another position, but I don't see it. I'm looking at the board. You know, the next best offensive lineman has a huge question mark. He's been taken off of the board. I just think it sets up for a wide receiver or a corner. You could obviously go with a pass rushing defensive specialist, but I think the Miami Dolphins are pretty much set at that position. So if it were me, I would stick with Devontae Parker or Brashad Perriman, whichever flavor of wide receiver that the brain trust of the Miami Dolphins feel like that's going to play and impact the 2015 season. And if you go on the other side of the football, it's Kevin Johnson at corner.
Bo, where are you leaning now that we know that pick is in?
I just think I'm leaning towards a wide receiver. Like I said, I think offense, they want to get this offense and really turn it into a high-powered group. You get another big receiver like that, someone that can spread the field a little bit more for you. I think it's going to be the guy that works out.
And OJ, your man is there, Devontae Parker. That's the guy that I really like as well. You've been really a proponent of his, and I don't think that in the weeks leading up to this draft, especially the last few days, we envision him being available at this point.
That's right. We've seen everybody say he's going to be gone before we get there. The Dolphins have to make moves, move up in the draft to go get him. He's sitting right there at 14 now. After Andres Pete just went to the New Orleans Saints. It's time to go after this guy, man, and make it complete. Like I said, man, we have to go out and get Devontae Parker. You know, I'm a big wide receiver fan, but to see what he did in his personal workout, his pro day, how big he is, how fast he is. I mean, we've got the little guy. Now we got to go out and get a big guy on the outside.
And I want to get a feel. The fans are chanting, "Let's go Dolphins." I'm trying to get a feel. Wide receiver, Devontae Parker, is that what you want?
Yeah, buddy.
What about, there's a thought that maybe there's a cornerback at play here. Do you like the cornerbacks?
No DB.
How about Brashad Perriman, the wide receiver? It sounds like Devontae Parker is the pick for the fans here. Well, you're with me, you're with OJ. Bo thinks the same. John, are you in the Devontae Parker club too?
Oh, absolutely. Been there for a long time, and the Dolphins can't go wrong right now because both positions, they're going to get a guy that's going to be on the field in 2015, impacting wins for the Miami Dolphins. So they're in a great position right now.
A reminder, the last time and the only time the Dolphins have selected at 14 in the first round of the draft, it was back in 1984. Jackie Shipp, the linebacker, was the choice, and they traded up from 26 to 14. But it's been since 84 since the Dolphins made the pick at 14, and in just a few moments, we're expecting the Dolphins to again make a pick. Now, I hate to bring this up because I can sense the anticipation here, the excitement, but is there still a possibility, John, Bo, and OJ, that the Dolphins decide to move back in the draft if there's a suitor there?
Absolutely.
I guess there's always a possibility.
Possibility. You're looking for draft picks?
I just don't see it now because the guy that they probably penciled in, Devontae Parker, he's the next best player on the board at wide receiver. And if they're going to go, if they have conviction at that position, I don't see them moving back with that player on the board. Now, if Brashad Perriman was there by himself, you may have a 50-50 chance of moving back, but not an accomplished player like Devontae Parker.
And Devontae Parker, if you add him to the mix of Greg Jennings, Kenny Stills, Jarvis Landry, Jordan Cameron, is this the missing ingredient to complete that wide receiving core?
I think it gives you a pretty impressive group. It gives you a guy that can stretch the field. And we saw what Jarvis Landry can do, and this guy's only going to get better. Cameron gives you a tight end that can run the seam. Kenny Stills, a guy that can, there's a kind of a possession receiver. I think you cover the whole gambit of guys if you add him to the mix of that wide receiver room.
Yes, well, Devontae Parker, potentially, that's the guy that everybody wants here at the draft party as we are moments away from the Dolphins making the 14th pick in the 2015 NFL Draft. I wish everybody who was listening and watching online was here with us to appreciate the excitement level that we are experiencing at Sun Life Stadium. It is palpable. Everybody's going nuts here as the pick is right around the corner. OJ, this is unbelievable. Bo, this might even make you want to get back on the playing field and play again.
Yeah, if they got a big enough check, I'd be happy.
They got big ones now, Bo. They got real big ones now,
It wouldn't take much, I can tell you that.
if the pick is Devontae Parker, he is a 6'2.5", 209 pounds. He's the big-bodied wide receiver that we've been waiting for years for this Dolphins team. Can serve multiple roles in terms of being on the outside, being a red zone threat. By the way, the pick is officially in. We're waiting Roger Goodell to approach the podium. So in just a few moments, we're expecting Roger Goodell to approach the podium with the 14th pick for the Dolphins. The pick is in, meaning that trade down scenario isn't happening.
Right,
the Dolphins are going to make the pick. And we are getting the distinct feeling that it could be Devontae Parker. That's what the fans want. That's what all the analysts want. Sam Madison's got the selfie stick working. He's all pumped up. The fans are going nuts. Guys, we've been waiting so long for this. I think that the bottom line is that from the fans' perspective, from the analyst perspective, from all Dolphins fans around the world, we've been talking about this. We've been analyzing this for months and months and months. The conclusion of the 2014 season led to draft talk. It took us to the scouting combine. There's the Senior Bowl before that. Obviously, we had all the individual workouts, the pro day at the Miami Dolphins facility, and 30 different non-local visits coming to the facility, which Dennis Hickey, Mike Tannenbaum, Joe Philbin, Eric Stokes, the entire Brain Trust, doing their due diligence to determine this moment in time, what they're going to do, and we know it's a pivotal moment in terms of how this can impact a franchise, good and bad, moving forward if you hit on your first-round pick. Jawan James was sitting in that seat just a little while ago, number 19 pick last year, and has a bright future after a very, very, very good rookie season. We saw Jarvis Landry make an instant impact as well. That's the expectation at 14, and it's all been building to this moment as we are still awaiting. The pick is in. We're just awaiting Roger Goodell to walk across that stage to the podium. The coverage is back live up in Chicago at the Auditorium Theater. We're going to go up there in just a moment with the pick in for this Miami Dolphins team. Take a listen to the crowd here as they're ready for this Dolphins pick. The Let's Go Fins chant
I love it.
is ongoing.
I love it, man.
And again, everybody.
We playing next week, Greg. We play next week.
You know what's amazing? If they make this pick, the complete overhaul that's gone on in that wide receiver room.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
I mean, just a complete transition. It's amazing what they've done.
It also tells you what was going on in that locker room possibly,
no
man.
doubt.
It had to be pretty much of a mess in there, man, and they had to make some good big-time decisions.
Yep.
When you got young talent in there like Jarvis Landry and Rashard Matthews, you got to bring in a guy like Kenny Stills.
Yep.
Some
Great
of those old
point.
veterans just weren't a good fit for them.
All right, I believe they're about to go to the podium. The pick is in. We've known that for a few minutes now. We're going to take it to Chicago the moment Roger Goodell's foot hits that stage as he's ready to walk to the podium. Here we go. Here's Roger Goodell.
With the 14th pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Devontae Parker, wide receiver, Louisville.
Devontae Parker,
Yes,
wide
sir.
receiver from Louisville, is the pick at number 14 for the Miami Dolphins. And the fans love it. It's unanimous. Everybody is overjoyed here at Sun Life Stadium as Devontae Parker is the newest member of the Miami Dolphins. What a playmaker you're bringing to this offense. And Bo, you hit it on the head. The complete revamp of the wide receiver position for this Dolphins team is absolutely complete. Devontae Parker, Jarvis Landry, Kenny Stills, Greg Jennings. My goodness, Ryan Tannehill is going to have his pick of receiving targets, and it's been a long time since you've had a big-bodied playmaker at wide receiver for this Dolphins team.
You know, you go out and get Jennings. You got a veteran guy in there that's truly a guy that you want in that meeting room. You get Kenny Stills, who's got experience. You saw Jarvis Landry. Now you get Devontae Parker with the other guys. I mean that is an impressive group of guys. Question is how quickly they gel together and how quickly Ryan Tannehill can spread the ball around all those guys once the season gets rolling.
And that's the key. If we want to evaluate Ryan Tannehill, let's surround him with some really good weapons, man. And you can't imagine the number of guys that we have there with these type of weapons that he has. He's gotten better and better. We have some guys in here that maybe didn't fit this style of offense that were here. Now you got guys that are going to come in. We know what style of offense we want to run. We know what Ryan Tannehill can do. Got some weapons around him now. Now let's go make it happen.
And you know what happened, guys? With the Dolphins leading up to the draft, they were talking about getting the best player available at a position of need and a Dolphins value on a player. This guy, even though he was injured last year, still came back and was a productive player. And he battled back and he got himself on the field. And it gives you a big catching radius in the red zone for the Miami Dolphins. So when you go 4 wide and you have Jordan Cameron on one side and Devontae on the other, lets the other guys work the middle of the football field. I think this is the perfect selection for the Miami Dolphins.
All right, what's the level of excitement here from the fans for Devontae Parker? Let's give everybody a scouting report. The Louisville wide receiver and newest member of the Miami Dolphins. Here's Devontae Parker.
Devontae Parker, a 6'3", 209-pound wide receiver out of Louisville. Parker holds the Louisville record for career touchdown receptions and averaged 142.5 yards receiving per game in his senior season. He climbs the ladder and has terrific body control with strong hands when fighting for the football, while also showing great elusiveness after the catch in the open field. At the next level, Parker looks to be a great fit as both a red zone target and a legitimate big play threat down the field. A 6'3", 209-pound wide receiver out of Louisville, Devontae Parker.
There it is, Devontae Parker, the new member of the Miami Dolphins, the big-bodied wide receiver. And, OJ, I know you just talked about it, but you've got to be ecstatic. He becomes the 5th wide receiver taken in the first round in team history, the first since Ted Ginn Jr., and joins you in that elite group there, OJ, of players at the wide receiver position who have been drafted in the first round.
And potentially the best yet, Bo. You got a guy right here that doesn't have to get open to make plays for you. You got a guy that runs under a sub-4 340. You got a big target in the red zone that we talked about that we lack. You got a guy that's a ball hawk. You know, you got a real good talent right here. Everybody knew that when the ball was in the air last year at Louisville, it was going to Devontae Parker, and he still went up there and made some plays. He tried to beat Florida State all by himself. You know, so you got a guy right there that's plenty talented. That's a fast guy, big guy, the new modern-day wide receiver right there, Devontae Parker. I'm excited about it.
You talk about the new modern-day wide receiver. You look no further than last year with Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr., right? Those guys that highly competitive going after the ball when it's in the air, want to make plays after they catch the ball. Now you add another young guy into the mix that comes into a room with a guy like Jarvis Landry that's going to say, hey, you know, that's how you play in the NFL. That's how, and I think you're going to get a good you always get two young guys together at the same position. There's always going to be that competition on the practice field to see who's better. And I think that's going to elevate both of their games and only make this group a better group. And again, I can't overstate how much having a guy like Jennings in there that's a veteran, that's been around, that's a playoff guy, a Super Bowl guy that can impart that knowledge. And I just like just the variety of the room, the way it sits right now.
The timing of those guys going out and getting Greg Jennings was perfect because it sets up the entire offensive side of the football now for a fourth-year quarter, going into a fourth year with Ryan Tannehill. It's his team. He's got players around him. He's got a 1,000-yard running back behind him. And now you just have to cross your fingers at the guard spots and see what happens later on in the draft and see the guys that are on this roster that can really solidify that side of the football.
Hey, I want to let all the fans know who are here at the draft party, who are listening on 940 Wins, who are watching on Dolphins.com, that Devontae Parker, new member of the Miami Dolphins, will join us via the phone coming up very shortly. So we're going to speak to the first-round pick in 2015 for the Miami Dolphins. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick timeout, come back with complete analysis of the Dolphins pick. Devontae Parker, wide receiver from Louisville, is the selection for this Dolphins team.